This is Lord Doom for John Murphy TV, and I'm here with artist and art gallery runner Sean McLUSKY.
Hello.
So you're an artist?
I do a bit, yeah, I dabble, but I keep it all secret.
And you're a musician?
Yeah, I come from a music background, yeah.
Right.
I was in bands in the 80s.
Right, so tell us a little bit about your music background and tell us about what bands you've been in.
Okay, I was in the second or third version of Subway Set, which was like 1981.
Yeah.
Did one album with Vic Goddard then, and toured with him a lot, and then that kind of morphed into a band called Joe Boxers, which was sort of, we thought it was rock and roll, but it was quite pop.
Yeah.
A couple of pop hits.
Yeah.
That kind of exploded, and I moved into club promoting and running club venues, and did a lot of venues all over London. And
you were in Subway Sets as well.
I was in. I've said that.
Did you say that?
Yeah. God, you got a short memory.
I know I have got. It's all right.
That was like the beginning of the sentence.
Did you say that at the beginning? I thought I missed that. Yeah. So tell us about club promoting. Sorry. Yeah. No, my memory's
That's all right. No, it's good. We can go back to the good bit.
Yeah. Tell us about club promoting. So how did you get into that?
No, it's just I was putting on shows. I was doing that. I was always doing that in tandem with being in bands, putting on gigs and parties. And then when the band, the bigger of the bands I was in, kind of finished, I just moved into running clubs. And I first one I did that was a permanent venue was a place called, we took over a venue on Wardour Street, 2-floor venue, and called it the Brain Club. It was like a rent boy bar when we found it, empty as well, and just talked the owners into letting us sort of turn it into a sort of psychedelic dungeon. And it was just as Acid House was happening, so it kind of hit the mark, and we're kind of the only place sort of doing house music pretty much every night, so it became the sort of epicentre of that scene. So all the DJs and all the artists used to use it. It was kind of like a colony club for the house scene. It was a great hangout.
Tell me what famous people went there at the time.
Fucking Tom Cruise went one night.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a hot ticket. It was only like 150 people. You couldn't get any more in.
Right.
They had really nice roof terrace out the back, behind the houses. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Sylvester Stallone's missus, what was her name? Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
But it was like all the
you could fit in there.
But it was all the it was all the original kind of crowd, you know, like Andy Weatherall, Pete Tong, Paul Oakenfold, all those people who kind of made that scene happen. Was their drinking den, and a lot of great people DJ'd there, you know, like Graham Park from the Hacienda did the Wednesday nights, and I did a lot of live electronic shows there, like live gigs, when people, you know, pre-laptop that is, when it was like a workstation and a drum machine MIDI together. Had people like Orbital play to like 15 people on the dance floor, a guy called Gerald. So it was like, you know, really like all the.
So what year
all
was
those
this
creative,
actually been?
This was 89.
89.
Yeah.
So it was coming up to.
And then from that, I went on to do other clubs in the West End. I relaunched the Café de Paris as a sort of dance club again, which was great because of its history. You know,
Yeah.
Queen had her 21st there, didn't she?
Did she? Really?
All the band were killed by a bomb in the wall. Went right through the roof, and killed the band as they were playing.
Really?
In the wall, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of ghosts. And then I did kind of like a club consultant, kind of building places for people and launching them. So I did a lot. And the last one I did in London was the Scala in King's Cross. I put that together.
See, I used to go there when it was cinema.
Same here. That's why I loved it.
Yeah,
and it was sitting empty.
It was just such a dive, but everybody loved it.
Well, you'd get a red stripe all night, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I've seen people doing all sorts of stuff in there, so out of it, falling over the balcony and God knows what. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
The projectionist used to be out of his head on acid. used to have to tap on the bloody window, you know,
at the back,
to get them to change the reel. So, somebody actually put a stick there just in case. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Great. This flea-ridden cat that would walk around in there catching the rats.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it was good. There was a few all-night cinemas in London then, because it was like they were by mainline state. There was one at Victoria, actually in the part of the station, up in the top. It's where you went to sleep when you'd missed your train, and you get the next one in the morning. You know, so you pay for a ticket for the cinema, and like you could stay in all night.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's what I used to do.
That's but it was sitting empty, and I met the owners, and I talked them into turning it into a music venue, and nightclub and music venue, and it's still there. 23 years later, it's going strong.
Well, the Scala sort of like messed up because of that film that they showed that they shouldn't have showed.
Well, I think they used Palace Pictures had their offices there. They were making their movies out of there, like the Long Good Friday and Crying Game, which was shot in Hoxton.
Also a great film.
So they were taking the box office money and paying the actors with it. It was that hand to mouth Palace Pictures, and they kind of were going under. And I think they used the Clockwork Orange thing as a sort of way of saying Kubrick had fucked them, but he hadn't. You know, I don't think they got prosecuted.
You don't think that's true, because
no.
that's what legend will tell you.
There's a Kubrick injunction on the film because he was he was getting house raids, you know, out in his place in Hertfordshire, so he just shut the film down.
Okay.
It wasn't because it was too violent. It was he stopped his own film being shown because it was affecting his family. It was amazing, but no, it was just sitting empty. So I kind of that was a really great project to get that open and make it work as a sort of multi-use arts and music space. I've just recently done one in Manchester, consulted to launch a venue that's been there since the 60s, but that was sitting empty as well. And the owners got me up there to bring the team together for it's a place called New Century Hall, which was part of the old Co-op building. It was their sort of function space. It was a 1,000 capacity sprung dance floor, beautiful modernist building, and that was sitting empty for 20 years. And I kind of went up and brought in all the best people from Manchester to make it work, and that's up and running. And now I'm working on a new venue, which is going to be just off Denmark Street.
Right.
So back to Soho.
Okay.
After 20 years.
So tell us about this place, because
gallery.
We came past this place and we just thought it was a house, and then we find it's two houses knocked into one.
2.5. It's like an extra bit on the end.
Do you actually own this building?
No, just a lease.
Okay.
We've been here 5 years. Before this. We had a place on Redchurch Street when Redchurch Street was called and not kind of aspirational like it is now. It was like the centre of the sort of London art crowd in the 90s and 2000s. We went there in about 96 when Shoreditch was still shut, empty, which was great. It was a great blank canvas for doing stuff, and I was doing clubs down there, gigs, live shows, and we got this shop with a little studio in the back for rehearsals for bands, and so we did a gallery in the front, and we were managing bands out the back.
Do you think you're in any way responsible for the revitalisation of Shoreditch?
It was me and a number of other people, definitely, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've been in New York. I was in New York for a year in a band in the mid-90s.
What band was it?
It didn't happen. There was a band called Speedway, got signed to Atlantic Records, went out there, made an album thinking it was all going to be amazing. Up to Woodstock to record it, mixing on fucking Broadway in the next studio to David Bowie. Like, here we go. And then we just got dropped. No, nothing in yet. Got dropped and sent back to England with our tails between our legs and with nothing, big tax bill. So I kind of spotted Shoreditch. A couple of people were doing some parties in a place that used to be the London Apprentice, which was a big gay cruise pub for lorry drivers on Old Street, and the owner had just turned it into started calling it 333, and had a really cool team there. It was probably the manager who kind of made that happen with the owner, and just letting people do gigs and all night parties there because it had a late licence, I think. Maybe not.
You think?
Yeah. And,
who was the actual licence owner?
It was sort of big matriarch of Shoreditch, really. can't remember her name now, but I'll get to that. But see, yeah, so I just started doing parties in there, and you could put 800 people over 3 floors, and just putting rock bands on in the basement, dance music on the ground floor, skateboard kids playing like soft rock upstairs, and you want to take that?
Mine's on as well.
And yeah, it kind of like started that. It got the sort of mindset of that what became Shoreditch going, with that sort of eclectic mix of kind of nonsense that later kind of became kind of mainstream down there.
Yeah, because it's a big place to go.
But once that was happening, I mean, you literally couldn't get a packet of cigarettes on a weekend in Shoreditch. You couldn't get a taxi. People just didn't go there.
No, that's right.
It was so weird. It was so close to everything else. But now, it felt like the darkest East End.
I knew there was something down there, nothing down there, and I never used to go, and I've been there occasionally. It was deserted. And then I went back years later, and you think, where did all this stuff come from?
It's like 100 bars now. Yeah. But it's horrible now. It's like hen parties and kind of
of course.
Girls in fucking.
We saw a few actually hen parties headed towards here on the way. Actually, I mean,
it's a sort of But what's great about it is Hoxton Shoreditch traditionally always was an entertainment centre for London, because it was just outside the city walls. It's where everyone went for the whores, the parties. There was more musicals in Hoxton than any other borough in London at one point. Okay. In the sort of Victorian times, and that's why there's still that sort of remnants of the sex industry there, with like Browns and the Sports Bar and things like that. That whole strip, Shoreditch High Street, was the epicentre of the sex industry, kind of in the 1900s, and it kind of dwindled. But it still has that little, and it's great that it's now it's a sort of destination for people to go and get pissed and get laid. It took all the energy out of Soho for a while, which was fucking phenomenal. But Soho's back, and it's really good again. So what made you start a gallery here? Because this isn't it was more the people, the owners of the building, the block in Shoreditch. They wanted to develop it, and we were like, well, we've got this thing going, and they really liked what we were doing, and they had this space because they're going to develop these, as in turn them all back into townhouses eventually, because these were all owned by the hospital.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's why they're knocked through. Okay. That whole Georgian building block there is knocked through, because it's when the hospital was just the old Victorian hospital, which is now the town hall. That was they just compulsory purchased everything in the district for training and research, and still got Alzheimer's research over the road, which we're going to need very soon.
Okay, so we will.
That was the tobacco dependency unit.
Right, okay.
I wish that had been on our door, because I'd have called the gallery that.
So you're an artist as well.
I did a little bit, dabble, but I keep it secret.
Okay, can you describe your art for us?
It changes by the year.
Okay, do you do sculptures?
No, at the moment I'm rediscovering abstract expressionism.
Nice.
But it's all been done before, but it's just nice to do, But I'll probably go back to...
So have you ever sold any art, or do you just do it
No, not at all.
A hobby?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not, I wouldn't call it a hobby. That's a weird word. It's more of a sort of weird necessity, like going to the toilet.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've done a lot of things.
I have.
Tell me
too many.
Tell me the craziest thing that ever happened.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah, that you can think of.
Well, I suppose you can have to. Getting a deal with Atlantic for a band, because we couldn't get arrested in London. I literally rang up Hilly at CBGB's for a gig, booked a gig. That was easy. Never met him before. He was always answering the phone. Put the gig in. I had a bit of money in the bank. I paid for the flights for the band. We went over. I rang a few labels, invited them to the show, and Atlantic came and signed us from the show. It was like the easiest fucking thing in the world.
Really?
Yeah, it was so weird. And like checks in the post, and then we moved over there, to do that. But it all kind of ended because they just had to, accountants make the decisions, in those big corporations.
Of course.
They just sort of culled 50 bands from the roster and concentrated on a couple. and they became massive. The ones that they kept.
Okay, so
from that generation.
What was the worst thing that ever happened? Then you think, shit, this is really bad. Anything comes to mind?
Well, you know, it's near death.
How did you get near death?
Drove a car off a cliff down near the Bristol Suspension Bridge.
Really?
Yeah, that was a good one.
How did you manage that?
Just going for a drive after a gig, just because I was bored at the hotel, and took the car we were using and was zooming around town. Went down the side of the suspension bridge, and it's like S-bends.
All right.
And I just couldn't hold it on one, and went through a fence, knocked down a tree.
What sort of a car was it?
It's probably like an estate car. You know, we were driving to gigs in it. You know.
Okay.
The gear was in another van.
Did you get any injuries?
No, did nothing at all. I knocked myself out on the steering wheel, but I can remember the banging going through the concrete posts in the fence, and then that's it. Then I came round, and the car must have just gone straight out and then landed flat, like not rolled.
Right.
And it was, if I'd gone off the corner before, it would have been like 100 foot, but this was only like 25 foot.
Okay.
And it landed, and kind of woke up, and there's like smoke coming out the engine, and there's a tree sticking out the bonnet, and all the windows are broken, shattered. When I got out, all the tyres had burst as well.
Did you have anybody coming to your aid, or did you just...
Well, I kind of knew where I was because I used to live in Bristol. I was at college there.
Okay.
And I'd realised I'd land, because I just could hear this barking. And I realised I'd landed in the compound of the police dog training centre. Sort of up the far end of it.
Okay.
And I was like, if I get out, I'm going to get eaten by Alsatians. If I stay in there, the car's probably going to burst into flames. And I thought, cars don't burst into flames that often.
Well,
but in films
they do in films.
Yeah. And,
but that's all you got to go by.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I better get out. So I got out, and I was sort of fumbling for a cigarette, shaking. And I had a packet of Swan Vestas in my back pocket, out, and they'd all burnt, like exploded when I hit. Must have been a big hit to the floor.
All right.
So, and then the guy turns up with a dog on a lead with a torch, going, "You fucking ruined my vegetable patch." He smashed it all. This was like his little allotment up the back end of the. And he took me in, and by the time the squad car came for the breathalyzer, I was under the limit.
Oh, really?
They couldn't fucking believe it. And they just let me go.
Really?
Yeah, but I got done for driving without due care and attention. That was it.
Okay.
I had to pay for his vegetable patch on the fence.
You paid for his vegetable patch? Well, what'd you do? Just buy him some
I don't know,
cabbages or something? You know? How'd you do that? Eat some cabbages.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to grow them now.
He was very nice, so.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
he
really
was just
cool.
the night guy with the dogs. Yeah.
Okay, so
what about your music career? Because you did the Joe Boxers and you were on top of the Pops and
Yeah, I
everything.
did all that stuff.
What was that? What was good there?
It's just pop, the pop machine. You know, kind of gobbles you up and spits you out the other end. You know, it's like you got to be pretty tough to carry on.
Did you make a lot of money from your
No,
music career?
No,
No?
no, never.
But obviously you
Someone
must have
did.
made something out of club promoting or sort of
Yeah,
like more so
that was more lucrative.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't write much. I wrote, you know, everything I wrote was either a B-side or an album track. It wasn't like a hit single. You know?
Okay.
So if you write a hit single, you get money.
That's cool.
If your name's underneath that.
Right. So at this point, I say, John, do you want to ask any questions?
No, that was perfect, man.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you very much.
Right.
You've been very kind. That was a great interview.
Thank you.
And yeah, it really was. Yeah, it's all right. My memory's a bit shattered, but you know what I mean.
That was great.
After so much, after so many years, what you could do. But thank you very much.
Yeah,
That was amazing.